Welcome to this comprehensive audio guide about the Roman Forum and Palatine, the political, religious, and social heart of ancient Rome. You are walking on the same ground where decisions were made that changed the course of history, where military triumphs were celebrated, where the public life of the world's most powerful ancient city unfolded. This experience will take you to discover not only the visible ruins, but also the historical, architectural, and social secrets that make this place one of the most important archaeological sites in the world. The Roman Forum was not a single building, but a complex of squares, temples, basilicas, triumphal arches, and public buildings that formed the nerve center of ancient Rome. For more than 1,000 years, from the city's founding until the fall of the empire, the Forum was the setting for the most important events in Roman history. Here the Senate met, elections were held, justice was administered, business was conducted, and the gods were worshipped. The Forum was, in essence, the beating heart of Roman civilization. The history of the Roman Forum begins in the 8th century BC, when the area was a marshy valley between the Capitoline and Palatine hills. The first Romans drained the swamp and began building the first public buildings. Over time, the Forum expanded and was enriched with new buildings, each more grandiose than the previous, reflecting Rome's growing power and wealth. What we see today are the ruins of multiple layers of construction that were superimposed over centuries. The Palatine, the hill that rises above the Forum, has even greater importance in Rome's history. According to legend, it was here that Romulus founded the city of Rome in 753 BC. The Palatine was the first of Rome's 7 hills to be inhabited, and for centuries it was the city's most exclusive residential neighborhood. Roman emperors built their palaces here, giving rise to the word palace we use today. The Palatine represents the power and opulence of the Roman elite. Walking through the Roman Forum is like traveling through time. Every stone, every column, every arch tells a story. The Via Sacra, the Forum's main street, was the path taken by victorious generals in their triumphs. This street connected the Forum with the Colosseum and other important places in the city. Along the Via Sacra were aligned the most important buildings: temples, basilicas, triumphal arches. Each had its specific function in Roman public life. The Temple of Saturn, one of the oldest in the Forum, was built around 497 BC. This temple housed the Roman state treasury and was where the empire's gold and silver reserves were kept. The temple was also dedicated to Saturn, god of agriculture and wealth, and its festivities, the Saturnalia, were among the most important in the Roman calendar. The columns we see today are remains of a later reconstruction, but the site maintains its historical importance. The Basilica of Maxentius and Constantine is one of the most impressive buildings in the Forum, although only partial ruins remain. This basilica, built in the early 4th century, was one of the largest buildings in ancient Rome. Roman basilicas were not churches, but public buildings where justice was administered and commercial transactions were conducted. The design of Roman basilicas directly influenced the design of the first Christian churches, which is why many modern churches have a similar form. The Arch of Titus, built in 81 AD, commemorates Emperor Titus's victory over the Jews and the destruction of Jerusalem. The arch's reliefs show the spoils from the Temple of Jerusalem being carried in a triumphal procession, including the 7-branched golden menorah. This arch is one of the best preserved in the Forum, and shows the mastery of Roman sculptors in representing historical events. The Temple of Vesta housed Rome's sacred fire, which was never to be extinguished. The Vestal Virgins, priestesses consecrated to the goddess Vesta, had the responsibility of keeping the fire burning. If the fire went out, it was considered a bad omen for Rome. The Vestals were the only priestesses in the Roman religion, and enjoyed unique privileges and respect. Their house, the House of the Vestals, was near the temple, and was one of the most important buildings in the Forum. The Curia, the Roman Senate building, was where senators met to debate and make decisions about governing the empire. This building has been rebuilt several times throughout history, but maintains its original function. The Curia we see today is a 3rd century reconstruction, but the site has been used for political assemblies for more than 2,000 years. Here decisions were made that affected millions of people throughout the empire. The Temple of Castor and Pollux, also known as the Temple of the Dioscuri, is recognizable by its 3 Corinthian columns that still stand. This temple was built to commemorate the divine help that the twins Castor and Pollux supposedly gave the Romans in a crucial battle. The columns we see are from a 1st century BC reconstruction, but the original temple dates from the 5th century BC. The Palatine offers a unique perspective on how Roman emperors lived. The imperial palaces built here were enormous complexes that included not only residences, but also reception halls, gardens, libraries, and entertainment spaces. The Palace of Domitian, built in the 1st century AD, is one of the most impressive. It included the Stadium of Domitian, an elongated space that was probably used for races and exercises, and the Domus Flavia, the palace's official halls. The Farnese Gardens, created in the 16th century over the Palatine ruins, were one of Europe's first botanical gardens. These gardens, although later than the Roman period, add another layer of history to the site. From the gardens, there is a spectacular view of the Roman Forum, allowing appreciation of the scale and importance of the complex from an elevated perspective. The House of Livia, wife of Emperor Augustus, is one of the best preserved buildings on the Palatine. This house, built in the 1st century BC, shows how wealthy Roman families lived. The frescoes decorating the walls, although worn by time, still show the elegance and refinement of Roman decorative art. The house includes atriums, peristyles, and private rooms, showing the complexity of Roman domestic life. The Roman Forum also includes numerous triumphal arches, each built to commemorate an important military victory. These arches were not only commemorative monuments, but also symbols of Rome's power and glory. The reliefs decorating the arches show scenes of battles, triumphal processions, and offerings to the gods, providing a visual window into Roman military history. Life in the Roman Forum was extremely active and varied. During the day, the Forum was full of people. Senators heading to the Curia, merchants conducting transactions in the basilicas, lawyers defending cases in the courts, citizens participating in political assemblies, and priests performing rituals in the temples. The Forum was a place of meeting, business, politics, and religion, all at the same time. The Forum's buildings also reflected the social stratification of ancient Rome. Temples and public buildings were open to all citizens, but access to certain areas was restricted according to social status. Senators and members of the elite had privileged access to certain spaces, while plebeians congregated in public areas. This spatial organization reflected and reinforced Roman social structure. The Roman Forum also witnessed some of the most dramatic events in Roman history. Here is where Julius Caesar was assassinated, where Mark Antony delivered his famous funeral oration, where Cicero denounced Catiline, and where decisions were made that changed the course of history. Every corner of the Forum has historical associations dating back to centuries of Roman history. The archaeology of the Roman Forum has revealed layers of history extending from the Republican era to the imperial, and beyond. Excavations have discovered not only the main buildings, but also details of daily life, shops, workshops, dwellings, and commercial spaces. These discoveries provide a complete picture of what life was like in the heart of ancient Rome. The Palatine also contains evidence of the earliest settlements in Rome. Excavations have revealed remains of Iron Age huts, showing that the site has been inhabited for more than 3,000 years. These discoveries connect the site with Rome's legendary origins and provide archaeological evidence for the stories told by ancient Roman historians. The conservation of the Roman Forum and Palatine has been an ongoing challenge. Over the centuries, the buildings have suffered damage from earthquakes, looting, and the passage of time. Many materials were reused in other buildings during the Middle Ages and Renaissance. However, the ruins that remain are enough to give a clear idea of the grandeur and importance of the original complex. The experience of visiting the Roman Forum and Palatine is unique because it allows a direct connection with ancient history. Unlike museums, where artifacts are separated from their context, here you can walk through the same spaces where the Romans walked, see the same buildings they saw, and experience the scale and grandeur of ancient Rome firsthand. The Roman Forum also has importance in art and architectural history. The Forum's buildings influenced the design of forums in other cities of the empire, and their architectural forms became models for public buildings for centuries. The arches, columns, and public spaces of the Forum established standards that were followed throughout the Roman world and beyond. Religion in the Roman Forum was omnipresent. Temples were not only places of worship, but also centers of political and social activity. Religious rituals were integrated into public life, and the gods were consulted before making important decisions. The Forum showed how religion and politics were intertwined in ancient Rome. The Palatine also shows the evolution of Roman residential architecture, from modest republican houses to luxurious imperial palaces. The Palatine reflects the change in lifestyle and aspirations of the Roman elite. Imperial palaces were not only residences, but also symbols of power and architectural statements about the emperor's status. When you visit the Roman Forum and Palatine, take time to imagine what this place was like in its heyday. Think of the bustle of daily life, the importance of decisions made here, the grandeur of the buildings when they were complete and decorated. The ruins you see are only a fraction of what existed, but they are enough to convey the importance and magnificence of the place. The Roman Forum and Palatine are not just archaeological ruins, they are living witnesses to history. Every stone tells a story, every building represents an aspect of Roman civilization, every space has historical meaning. Visiting this place is an opportunity to connect with the past, to understand how ancient Rome functioned, and to appreciate the achievements of one of history's most influential civilizations. Thank you for listening to this comprehensive audio guide about the Roman Forum and Palatine. We hope you have discovered the historical, architectural, and social secrets of this extraordinary place, and that this experience has deeply enriched your visit. The Roman Forum and Palatine are places that deserve to be visited with time and attention, because every corner reveals something new about ancient Rome and its enduring legacy. Enjoy the rest of your stay in Rome, and remember that you have walked on the same ground where the history of one of the greatest empires the world has known was forged.